Get great deals on the latest phones, tablets, and business apps with O2 Business. Hey guys, Basil here with Btekt, comparing the Samsung Galaxy S7 with the HTC 10. The HTC 10 is HTC's new flagship 5.2-inch Quad HD display. Metal body, we've got the black version, looks pretty masculine, kind of looks like a Batmobile crossed with a Moto X or something, but its actual spec sheet reads really well, very similarly to the S7, but their differences kind of complement each other. Let's get stuck into it, and you can see screen sizes are similar, 5.1 inches versus 5.2. Both Quad HD, different screen technologies. You've got an AMOLED display on the S7. It's beautiful, it's got great viewing angles, it's nice and sharp, it's vibrant, it's poppy. Compared to the HTC 10, the SLCD 5 screen looks really great head on. Off angle, it kind of gets some slight red hues to it. That's our first impressions. We'll see if we can go into the settings and swap them out when we have a little bit more time with the device. You can also see a similar kind of array of buttons on the front, but you'd be mistaken for thinking that that is a button below the HTC 10 screen. It is in fact a capacitive button, I suppose, but it's a fingerprint scanner and a home button too. The actual physical home button on the S7 is also a fingerprint scanner, and both have capacitive buttons either side, though in a different setup. Just like stock Android, the HTC 10 has a back button to the left, home multitasking button to the right. Both have front cameras, so the HTC 10's front camera is loaded up with image stabilization as well as autofocus too, which is a sweet deal. You can see on the right of the HTC 10 is a volume rocker as well as a power button. Down at the base is a USB-C for charging as opposed to a micro USB on the S7. There's also a loudspeaker. The loudspeaker on the front and bottom double up to produce an interesting array of stereo sound. And it sounds really good. First impressions, we'll be doing a more in-depth speaker comparison in time. Left-hand side expandable storage. Unlike the S7, the expandable storage on the HTC 10 is adoptable, so the 32 gig of internal memory can be supplemented and you can install apps to the SD card. Again, pretty cool, especially for heavy gamers out there. You can see up top 3.5mm headphone jack, but it isn't any 3.5mm jack. While our preference would be the device having the jack at the bottom, we're going to make an allowance for this one because it outputs high resolution audio and ships with high-res audio cans as well, which is a really good value add for any audiophiles out there. Around the back is a 12 megapixel or ultra pixel camera, as HTC terms it, but it is a Sony sensor, dual tone flash, autofocus, no wireless charging. The S7 has this glass back and front. It's a curved glass back. It feels softer in the hand. It looks less like a Batmobile, less grrrr masculine, but at the same time, it's got flat sides as well. Both are relatively easy to hold. The S7 is more manageable though. That curved backing and glass front and back is demure, but it doesn't mean this phone isn't hardy. It's waterproof, so can be submerged in up to 1.5 meters for 30 minutes, I think it is. Down at the base, USB, micro USB for charging, not USB Type-C. 3.5mm jack and a loudspeaker. The loudspeaker is just single speaker at the bottom. Power button to the right, left-hand side, you've got volume buttons, while up at the top is what looks like a nano SD SIM card slot and a micro SD card slot as well. You can see around the back is that 12 megapixel bright cell camera, which is killing it in the tests that we are doing at the moment. So HTC has some tough competition there. What's inside? You've got Android on both of these devices. HTC's worked very closely with Google on the latest version of Sense. They're not actually numbering it, I don't think. I don't know if it's Sense 8 or 7 or whatever it is. I think it's just a new version of Sense. It streamlines the experience, getting rid of applications that aren't really utilized by users. So for example, you've got Google Photos instead of HTC Gallery. You've got HTC Camera instead of Google Camera. They've made the best choices, getting rid of the ones that are the worst in their opinion, and in most cases I completely agree with them. If you do, like me, prefer an HTC application by contrast to a Google app, you can jump into the Play Store and indeed download it. So for example, the HTC Gallery, I prefer to Photos, and you can download that separately. The S7 Edge doesn't, or the S7 doesn't have the same level of streamlining, but it is much more streamlined than older versions of TouchWiz. You've got this blink feed type element to the right, which you've got on HTC Sense as well, although we have killed blink feed. Just like in HTC, you can also remove this flipboard briefing UI to the left-hand side as well. home screens on both of the devices, and you've got pull-down notification trays that are both relatively stock. They've got a few customizations to them. You've also got applications trays on both. It's a horizontally scrolling applications tray on the S7 as opposed to a vertically scrolling apps tray on the HTC 10. Now, the performance is going to be pretty similar across both because they both are powered by Snapdragon 820 processors with 4 GB of RAM under the hood. That means they're both going to have the most powerful gaming chops as well. We highly doubt gaming will be too different in terms of sheer oomph, but what you'll experience if you are gaming is a difference in terms of sound. If you cover up your right and left hand side, you will likely cover up the speaker on the S7, so the front firing speaker on the HTC 10 will likely prevail. Like I said, internal memory is 32 GB across both expandable by microSD card, though it is adoptable on the HTC 10. You'll have the fastest Cat 6 LTE speeds in the UK if you're on the right network. Currently it's just EE that supports it. That's pretty much these two in a bag. We're not going to dwell too much on the camera or go into the camera UIs too much. Both do support pro modes, both do, which means manual mode effectively, so you can adjust things like shutter speed. You've got laser autofocus on the HTC 10. HTC claims it's the fastest camera around, but in the short time with it, we're not going to put that through its paces because we don't want to inaccurately report back. So check back, make sure you do, and that's when we'll be covering the HTC 10 and the Samsung Galaxy S7 in a great deal more detail. One last thing to talk about, batteries. Both have 3000 milliamps, and we're done. Thanks for watching Btekt. Hopefully you've enjoyed. If you have, click that thumbs up button. Like the channel, subscribe. That's how you'll be staying on top of everything that we do. Get great deals on the latest phones, tablets, and business apps with O2 Business.